Welcome back to our Python for Data Engineering series. In the last session, we started with Python internals, where we explored how Python code executes internally. I hope that session helped you to build solid understanding of what happens behind the scene when Python executes your code. Now, as per our plan, in the today's session, we are going to understand another fundamental yet powerful concept from Python, which is everything is object in Python. Now, you guys must have heard this statement many times, but but we just accept it as a fact and never truly tries to understand it. We are going to understand that today in a great depth. Okay. See guys, before understanding everything is object in Python, we need to understand what is object. Now this object concept, this object concept comes from object oriented programming system, which is also referred as OOPS. Okay. Now my intention for this session is not to teach you OOPS. It is really powerful and important topic, and to truly understand it we need a dedicated session which we'll be doing later. As of now, I want to make you understand what is object. To understand that, whatever OOPS concepts are needed, I will explain you along the way. So let's get started guys. See, at high level, what is OOPS? It is programming technique to write or organize your code in classes and objects. Okay. To simplify the concepts of classes and object, I will explain that through one real world example. I don't want to give you some bookish definition. We will understand it practically. Now, we all know Tata Motors, okay, which is car manufacturing company, right? Now let's say we have some machine in Tata Motors, okay, which can produce car for us, okay. Now this machine will need some input to produce the cars, right? So let's consider we are passing some inputs to these machines. Now these inputs will include car name, car model, and other raw materials which are specific to car being created. So if we are creating a Tata Safari car, we will give a car name as a Tata Safari and car model whatever it is, maybe a pro model for Tata Safari. So these inputs are going to be a specific to car being created. Okay. Now that's not all. Your machine will provide some functionality or capabilities to your car. Okay. So what are those functionalities? So maybe you can drive the car, right? So driving car, then applying brake, and then turning on or off the AC. Okay. And many more. These functionalities are provided by your machine, right? Which can be accessed by your cars, right? Whatever cars you create using these machines can access these functionalities. Let's translate this example into classes and objects. Okay. See guys, this machine which manufactures the car is nothing but your class. Okay. So your machine basically represent to the class in object oriented programming system. Then your cars are nothing but objects. Okay, cars represent to the objects. Okay, let's try to write the definition of class and object. Class is a blueprint or model to create the objects. Okay, for example, machine, right? Machine has capability to create a cars which are nothing but object. Okay, now what is objects? These are real world entity created using some class. Okay, this class will need some inputs to create the object, right? Now these inputs are nothing but attributes to your class. Okay. Now again, I am repeating this thing. These attributes are specific to the objects you are creating. If you are creating a Tata Safari car, you will give car name as Safari and particular model. If you are creating Harrier, you will give car name as Harrier and that specific model. These inputs depend upon what object you are creating. Okay. These functionalities provided by your machine are nothing but methods of the class. Methods of your class. And these methods can be accessed by objects of your class, right? We understood what is class, what is objects. Let's try to write definition for attributes and methods as well. Attributes are nothing but fixed set of inputs to the class which are specific to object being created. Okay. Then your methods are features or functionalities provided by your class or objects of that class. Okay. So guys, I hope you now get some idea about the objects. Objects are nothing but a real world entity. Let's try to put this example into a Python code. Okay. Let me create a new file machine_1.py. Okay. Now first we will create the class machine. Okay. See guys, again I am telling you, my intention is to explain you what is classes and object. Even if you don't understand this code completely, that's perfectly fine, no issues. Okay. But let's try to understand it. See that this is how we will define the class. Now I told you one thing, right? We send some fixed set of attributes to your class, like which are specific to the object being created. Okay. Any class basically will have a method which accept this attribute. Okay. So what attributes we are sending? Car model and car name. Now this double underscore init double underscore method will accept your input and store it in a self. Now what is this self? Let me explain you that. Let me complete this method quickly. Car name equal to car name. Okay. This is a special method specific to class which known as constructor. Okay. It accepts attributes sent while creating object. So while creating object, we'll send some input for that object. So it accepts that attributes and store it in a self. Now what is self? Self, it refers to current object being created. Okay. Whatever object we are creating, it refers to that object and stores the attributes of it. Okay. So if you see in self, I'm storing car model and car name. Now one more thing we discuss, that class will have some methods as well which can be accessed by objects of that class. Okay. Now let's say as of now I have two methods for this class. One is drive car, which is for driving the car. Now I will not write some complex logic, I will simply print something. Print, and here I am passing the self. Now see, I only need to pass the self because inside self I have already stored car model and car name. Okay. So I have access to all the attributes using self. Okay. Now I will just simply say driving the car and I need to put car name here. Okay. So I will access that using self dot car name. Okay. Now I will have one more method which is apply brake maybe. Okay. So I will say here applying the brake of the car and the car name. Okay. Now we have defined this class in our Python code. So it has a attributes, it has a method to accept the attributes, and it has a methods. okay, which can be accessed by object of that class. Now let's create object. How we can create the object? Suppose I want to create Safari car using this machine class. Okay, Safari car is my object name. I am calling this machine class and I want to send car name, maybe Harrier. Sorry, we are creating Safari car. So let me send Safari and model, maybe a Pro. Okay. Now see guys, how this code will work. We are calling a machine class. Then we are sending a car name and model. So these attributes are accepted by this method and it initializes your object using these attributes car model and car name. Now see guys, whenever you create objects of any class, this method executes by default. We don't need to call this method separately. Let's see that quickly if this method actually gets executed. Object, let me print something. Object being created for our car name. Okay, so if this method executes by default, this print will be executed. Okay, let me run this python machine underscore 1.py. Okay, I hope there are no syntax issues, and let's run it. Let's execute once again, and now fine. See, now see, this method is getting called because this statement is printed here. Okay, now see guys, as of now this method is not important. The important thing is this object. So Safari car is our object and it is created using our machine class, and we send some attribute to this machine class, okay, which are inputs. Now this object will have access to the class methods. So let's see whether Safari car, which is object, can call these methods. Drive car. So let's call this method. So this is how we call the method. Okay, object dot method name. Okay, and then another object. Sorry, another method. Apply break. Okay, let me save it. Your objects have access to these methods of the class machine. Okay, now I hope you guys understand what is the object. Okay, objects are real world entity created created using some class. They have access to methods of class from which they are created. Okay, that's all. Now most important thing, what does this object holds? Okay, see, this is really important. Object holds three things. First is a id. Now what is id? Every object will be stored somewhere in memory, so every object will have unique memory address. Okay, so for example, if we create one more object for this class, maybe a Harrier car. Okay, Harrier car, then these two objects, Safari car and Harrier car, will have different memory address. Let's check that. Okay, now how to access address of these objects? Simply we can access it using id function. Okay, here I'll pass my object name, then for another car also, the Harrier car also, let me paste it. Will give another object which is a Harrier car. Okay, let me clear the screen and run it. Both the objects have different memory address. Okay, so every object have unique memory address. Then next thing, type. Every object belongs to some class. See, object we can see, we just see. Second thing is a type. Every object belongs to particular class. Okay, object can be created from class only, right? So they will be belonging to the some class. That class is type of that object. Okay, let's verify this also. Now we know that this Harrier car belongs to the machine class. but let's see what we get in a type. Okay, let me print a type for it. Okay, see, this Safari car is a type of class machine. Okay, so this is a type and value. And third thing is value. What data object holds. Okay, whatever data object holds. Now in this case our object holds two things, right? Car name and car model. So in this case we can simply access it using, let me access for Harrier car. Okay, so we have one Python method which will give all the attributes stored by that objects. Okay, see, this Harrier car is storing car model and car name. These are nothing but values. So every object will have three things. One is ID, which is a unique memory address, unique memory location for that object. Then type, every object will belong to the some class, so that class is a type of that object, and value is whatever data that object holds. We understood everything about the object. Okay, object is a real world entity created using some class, and it has three things: ID, type, value. If we need to find out if something is object, we will simply check whether it has ID, type, and value. Then if it has all these three things, we can say it is the object. Okay, let's understand this term. Okay, everything is object in Python. Now we will not just say it. Okay, we'll understand it. So first thing, all data types are objects. Okay, so whether it may be a string or number or list or dictionary or tuple or whatever remaining data type like floats, all are objects. And we can simply check that, right? If it has ID, type, and value, it will be object. Okay, let me create one new file. Okay, objects underscore one.py. Okay, now I will simply store one number inside variable number underscore one. Just think for a minute, guys, what is number underscore one? Whether it is a variable, whether it is object. Guys, this number is an object. Okay, how? Simply we can check, right? We'll check whether it has ID, whether it has a type. Okay, let's check that. Let's check its ID and its type, and value we already know it's holding number 5. Okay, or we can print this value as well. Now let me execute it. Python objects underscore one.py. See, it has a unique memory address. Okay, then it belongs to the class integer. Okay, so this is a object of class integer. Class integer is class defined in Python, and when we are assigning a number, it is creating object of that class integer. Okay, so here it is proved that numbers or integers are objects in Python. Okay, one more thing I wanted to explain you. See, we learn one more thing. Every object will have access to the methods of that class. Now this object of in class will also have access to the methods of that in class, right? So let's try to access one method, which is a add. Okay, this is how we were accessing the methods, right? See here. Okay, I deleted that code, right? So let me show you. This is how we were accessing, right? Print Harrier car is our object, and drive car is method of that class, right? And when I run this, see, we are able to access the method. Similarly, we are trying to access method add of this integer class, right? So let's execute it. This now. See, it's working, right? So it has access to the methods of that class as well. Okay, now let's check for the string. Okay, let me define some sample string. Okay, I am having one name. I am having my name stored in name variable. Okay, and then let's do same thing, right? Let's check its ID, type, and value. Okay, and now run it once again. See, now this name is object of class string, right? It has a unique memory address and it is storing the value. So it has all three things: ID, type, and value. So this is also object. Now this object will also have access to methods of its class, right? So let's say there is one method upper which will convert our name into a capital C. It has access to its method. So string is also object. Now similarly, you can check for other data types also, like dictionaries, list, tuples, all are objects. Okay, so now we proved that all data types are objects. Now second thing, functions are also objects. Now you will be amazed to now you will be amazed how functions can be object. But once again, we'll prove that, right? Let's create, or here only we can do that. Okay, let's say we have simple method add, okay, which will add two numbers and print it. Okay, print x plus y. Similarly, we can check its type, right? Let me check type of this add. And then we'll check its id as well, whether it has a unique memory address or no. Now see, in case of function, it will not store the value like this, like how we are storing some value in string or number, but it will store metadata required for execution. So it will store the byte code of the function, then it will store the function name, default arguments as a value. So we have a way to access those things. Like for example, if I need to access byte code, I can do that using underscore double underscore code double underscore. Then I want to access name of my function, that I can do using double underscore name double underscore. Now guys, whenever you see method with double underscore and double underscore, these are special methods in Python. Okay, remember that. Now let me execute this code. See, this function is also object of class function. Okay, it has a unique memory address and it has a values. Okay, see, in nutshell, function store its executable behavior as a value. Okay, since function is an object, we can store it into another variable also, right? Let's see that. Okay, I can store this add function into some x variable, and if I do this, it should give me a sum of these two numbers, right? Because internally it will call this add function only, right? Because our x is pointing to this add function. Okay, see, this should give addition of these two numbers. See, it's giving 11, right? So that's why function is also object. The classes are also objects in Python. Now you will say, you just told us we create objects from classes. Then how classes are objects? Let me tell you. Okay, see, whatever car manufacturing machine we discussed here, right? This machine is also produced using some machine, right? Some big giant machine has produced this car manufacturing machine, right? Your machine, which was a class or which is a class, is object of this big machine class, right? So that's why we are saying classes are also objects. Let's prove that again. Okay, let's go to this code which we have written previously. Let's check type and id of our machine class. Okay, so let's see whether our machine class has a type and unique memory address. No, we executed some other code. Let me execute this machine underscore one. Our machine is of class type. So in Python we have class type, and from that this machine object is created, which is a class. Okay, and it has some id. Now what value does class store? See, class stores your constructor, then your methods. So these all are values for your class. Hence Class is also object in Python. Okay. Now, I hope we have proved that everything is object in Python. Okay. So how everything object in Python? We have answered that. Here we understood how everything is object in Python. Okay. Now, why Python follows this architecture? The first reason is consistency. Why Python follows this fixed architecture? Reason number one is consistency. Okay. So we have same rule of objects and classes everywhere. Objects will have fixed structure and behavior defined using attributes and methods of the classes. Second reason is polymorphism. Now what is polymorphism? I will say same operator but different behavior. Okay. Let me explain this through code. Okay. Let me create one more new file, objects underscore 2.py. Okay. We all know the plus operator, right? It will do the addition. But let's see, we have 5 plus 2. So it will do the addition and give us the 7. But if I do like this print, let's see what it does. Okay. Objects 2, right? Yeah. I executed wrong notebook. Yeah. See, when we pass numbers, it has performed sum. But when I pass two strings, it has done the concatenation. Okay. So Python identify this as object of class integer. So it performs the addition. But in case we pass string, it identifies it as object of class string and do the concatenation. Right? So this behavior is possible because everything is treated as object in Python. Then third thing is extensibility. We have access to the methods of that class, right? From which object is created. If we want to add some new features or something new, we don't need to do any changes in that object. We simply can add new method to the class and all the objects of the class can access that method. For example, for string, we need to add some method, new method. We can add it in a string class and all the objects of the string class will have access to that method. Okay. Then fourth functionality is simplicity, right? You have one mental model that everything is object in Python, nothing else to remember. So that's why Python provides lot of simplicity. I hope you guys are thoroughly able to understand why and how everything is object in Python. I could have simply told you Python treats everything as an object, but that statement alone does not really help. My goal was to make you understand what an object truly is and how Python treats every entity as an object internally. Once you understand this, you don't just write code, but you understand what Python doing at backend. So guys, if you don't understand anything, I will ask you guys to watch this video once again. Okay. Once you have this clarity, that will change the way you think while writing the code. You stop memorizing the syntax and start writing the code with proper flow and logic. That's all for today's session, guys. If you learn something new from this session, please like and share the video with your friends as well. If you have any questions or suggestions, please put it in a comment below. I will be happy to respond them. Thank you guys. See you in the next session.